Welcome, dear viewers, to Couch Warrior TV on YouTube. I am the Couch Warrior, and you are watching a channel update. It has been a while since I've given you all an update on what's going on with CWTV. There has been a lot of transition, certainly, and there are many things to review. So this update is long overdue. Let's jump right into it. Story number one has to do with the fact that YouTube has been for some time and continues to be a festering boil on the ass of the internet. Back in April, there were some new rules handed down by YouTube to MCNs, which are multi-channel networks, of which I am a member, basically enacting something called the 50/90 rule. And basically what that means is that an MCN can have their partnership with YouTube suspended if they have more than 50 abuse incidents in a 90-day period. It is being referred to as the 50/90 rule. As you can imagine, in a content network that has hundreds, possibly thousands of partners, this is an absolutely impossible standard to meet. And so, as a result, a lot of multi-channel networks are now being forced to drop content creators in order to meet the YouTube standard. This started out with my first network partner, which was Maker Studios. Now, Maker Studios is owned by Disney and is also sponsoring a lot of the biggest YouTubers out there when it comes to gaming channels. That's your PewDiePies, your Jacksepticeye's, your Markipliers, stuff like that. And basically, because of some of the controversy that happened over PewDiePie and his situation, Maker dropped PewDiePie, then also started dropping all their small creators, which included me. At that time, I moved over to Curse, which was a network that was much broader, much more willing to support small creators. But now I have gotten a letter from Curse Union of Gamers informing me that as of July 20th, I'm going to be dropped. And it has specifically to do with this 50/90 rule, which I think Maker would not probably tout that rule specifically as the reason they dropped creators, because at the time that was still something that was coming about. But as a very large and influential MCN, it would surprise me if they didn't have advance warning on what this new policy was going to be. So, in essence, there's an article. You can find it on Polygon. It is a great article. It came out back in April, but has since had a couple of addendums added to it, so you're going to want to read the whole thing. To paraphrase, it says, in effect, it forces MCNs to either watch every video uploaded to their partner by their partners, or at least be reasonably confident none of the videos they are uploading could possibly either in the present or the future violate or even come close to violating a YouTube guideline/term. That is virtually impossible. The only way that a YouTube creator could pull that off would be to first put in place really draconian rules of their own to monitor speech, or hire so many people, put so many new people on the payroll that they could physically review every single video that members of their network uploaded, which is an impossibility. You know, the scale that you would require in order to be able to achieve that with small content creators is absolutely impossible to manage. So, in essence, what's going to happen here in June is that for the second time now, I'm going to lose my network partner. So what does that mean for the channel exactly? I guess at this point, I feel like nothing. I have made the decision that given all of these things that are happening and the fact that clearly YouTube is doing a culling. They're trying to cull out small creators because they don't want them. They've made that abundantly clear. And I think at first it started with, putting measures in place that made it more complicated and difficult for new creators to become, to monetize. They make it more complicated for you to do AdSense independently. And then they put measures in place that, make it difficult to make any money out there just simply because you're getting copyright strikes and you're getting violations based on unfriendly to advertiser content with an algorithm that no one can understand. YouTube has created this black box, and they have used it to cull out as many content creators as they can at a certain level. Now they're going to the MCNs and they're attacking the MCNs and asking the MCNs, or forcing them to push everyone else out. In an environment like that, it's really impossible to count on YouTube to be anything other than a distribution platform for my work. So that is what I'm going to basically treat it as. The fact of the matter is that YouTube has been at work for a long time now, trying to get rid of small content creators. They want to work with big networks. They want to work with people who have lots of followers. They're not interested in the content. They're interested in the traffic, the advertising, and the profits it generates exclusively. Given the fact that there's no room for small creators on this platform, I'm really not going to look at it as a way to make money anymore. And like I said, this has been happening for a long time. There was a point at which I could count on YouTube royalties generating, $200 to $300 a month for me that I could put towards the channel and the podcast. I simply can't do that anymore. The fact is that I am very lucky now if YouTube royalties make me $40 a month. And $40 a month is not even enough for me to pay for file hosting for our podcast files and for the website that we run. So understanding that I can't really count on this as a platform anymore for making a little extra money, I'm basically going to write that off. What I'm going to be doing is focusing on YouTube as a distribution platform. It's a convenient way. It's a convenient way for me to get my content out there to an existing group of subscribers that I already have. YouTube, in addition to taking steps to limit my profitability, has also been taking steps with small content creators to suppress our subscribers. And we've seen this over and over again. So they've put policies in place that make your subscription to a channel basically worthless, to the point where even setting an alarm on a channel doesn't necessarily guarantee that you're going to get alerted when I put new content out there. So I think we're beginning to see a situation now where YouTube is beginning to become useless even as a distribution platform. However, I'm not prepared to quite make that leap to another platform yet, because I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place, in that YouTube is the distribution platform I've been using for more than 6 years now, and that is where my audience is. And I have spent a long time getting to that 10,000 number. I am still not there yet. There was a time when I was, gaining more than 100 subscribers per month, and now those numbers have been suppressed to the point where, it has taken me fighting tooth and nail over the past 5 to 6 months just to get from the 9,700 mark to the 9,900 mark. And you can see the numbers fluctuating all the time. So hitting that 10,000 mark for me has been difficult. And based on my experience with YouTube, over 6 years, watching my analytics very closely on a daily, weekly basis, I can tell that those fluctuations in subscriptions are because they're being artificially manipulated either by a person or an algorithm going in and removing subscribers from my channel that this algorithm views to be either bogus or inactive. And I would be completely fine with that if YouTube was transparent about its policies, but it is not. So, while I'm going to stick with YouTube as a platform for distribution of my content, I will not be counting on YouTube for any sort of income. I could do AdSense on my own, but what's the point? So I think the more difficult thing for me to swallow at this point is that losing my MCN also cuts me off from a lot of the music sources that I have been using for the last 5 or 6 years. And as all of you know, music plays an essential role in everything that I do. So what this is going to force me to do is either continue without that, or I'm going to have to go out and just purchase my own license agreement with a company like Epidemic Sound, for example. Now I can do that, and I honestly, at some point I probably will, but given the fact that I am losing even a little bit of YouTube revenue at the moment, and then adding on additional expense, that's not going to be something I'll be able to do very soon. So in light of that, I have to take a very serious look at the content I'm considering producing at this moment on the channel to figure out what's doable. As I'm looking at it right now, those of you who have been paying attention, you know that St. Billy is making a comeback. My plan has been over the last 2 months to bring St. Billy back to Couch Warrior TV, and I have invested a significant amount of time and effort to get a saved game up and running, to get all the mods working again. I've done a couple live streams with regard to this. And as you know, if you watch that series, that Fallout 4 series is heavily reliant on music to set the mood. There are a lot of themes there with the music that people instantly recognize and associate with that story. Luckily, the way that these license agreements work is at the time I license them, it doesn't matter how I get the access to them. Once I have the access, that access is good forever. So the episodes of St. Billy that are out there already are protected, and fortunately, I was able to archive most of the music locally that I used for that series. So I have an archive of existing music I can draw from that I used in Season 1. So I can recycle that music for Season 2. However, it puts me at a significant disadvantage for some of the other series that I was doing. So it is not necessarily the fact that I have everything archived for all the series that I've done. So it's going to be interesting to see how everything comes together. For now, I'm focused on recreating the Fallout 4 story, and I'm planning on rolling out the first installments of that story sometime here in July. Now, the format of St. Billy is going to be somewhat similar to how it was before, in that I'm going to be creating produced episodes. Originally, I was thinking of doing this as a live stream thing, but I really don't think I could pull off the story the way that I truly want to by limiting it just to live streams. I think that we will have St. Billy live streams, for sure. I just don't know what that content is going to be yet. But I like the combination of produced episodes and live streams. So what we're going to be focusing on is Season 2 of St. Billy. I don't know how many episodes it's going to go yet, but I'm going to take that to a conclusion for Season 2, and then we'll move on to some other character, and hopefully by then some of these other things will have shaken out. Let me check my notes here. There's some other things that I want to cover. There has been some discussion, of course, about what are some alternatives to YouTube for distribution. There are alternatives. I mean, I could use Vimeo, but I would pay a fee for that. The other option is to go to Twitch, but that really only helps me from a live stream perspective. I don't think it's going to allow me to do the kind of work that I would like to be able to do. If you can make a case for me why you think moving to Twitch exclusively is a good option for Couch Warrior TV, I'd welcome your explanation in the comments section below. But right now, as I'm looking at it, it's not the ideal solution. So I don't have a solution yet, except to stick with YouTube until I decide what might be reasonable. As I've said, my audience is there, and I've spent 6 years building that audience, clawing and scratching to try to get to 10,000 subscribers. So, you know, that's kind of where things are at. I'm very positive about the future of the channel. I sort of like the idea of being independent of YouTube financially, even though it's going to be, I'm going to be taking a hit for doing that. I would much rather be focused on creating good videos for the audience who actually cares about my videos than worrying about what the hell YouTube is doing, because they are royally screwing up, in my view. You know, they're going after the dollar, and they're going after the networks rather than doing anything to promote creativity at the grassroots level. And I think that's a huge, huge mistake, because they will go from being what was once a wonderful sort of grassroots social media platform that empowered people to being just another gigantic network, you know, that works for the highest bidder. To me, it's really unfortunate, and it's, I think, supremely disgusting. So I guess that's my take on it, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to continue to do the podcast, obviously. You can go to charactercrusade.com, find all the information out there on the current season of the Character Crusade Unbound podcast. We're preparing season 3 now, and we're pretty excited about that. Whether or not we distribute that to YouTube remains to be seen. There are several episodes from season 2 that I have not put up on YouTube, and I am quite happy to never do that again. A podcast is what it is. It's a podcast. It can go out in a podcast RSS feed. That's how it's supposed to work. And, you know, there's no incentive, I think, for me or the guys to do a lot of extra work to put out videos there, things being what they are. Anyways, I just wanted to give you all a quick update. You can look for more announcements to come. We've got a podcast coming up this Monday night, if you're interested in checking that out. That is going to be the next installment of Character Crusade Unbound Season 2. That's coming up this Monday night at 6 p.m. Central Time. We usually podcast from about 6 to 9, depending on how much content we have. And if you have any questions for us about roleplay, about Skyrim, about Fallout, about any of the series I've discussed, anything at all that you'd like us to address on the podcast, we are absolutely happy to answer those questions. You can go to unbound.charactercrusade.com and use our web form to submit your questions, comments, or discussion topics there, and we will address them on the show. Thank you all very much for your time and attention and your continued support. I appreciate it very much, and I will see you